Hi, it's Will from stormthecastle.com. And here on YouTube, you know me as what? Epic Fantasy, that's right. And this is my latest tutorial. This is a blacksmithing video. I love the blacksmithing, you know I do. And many of you love the blacksmithing too, and you look forward to these videos. So this is a nice video with a lot of stuff in it on blacksmithing. And the project is out of a railroad spike, $2. Make a throwing axe tomahawk kind of thing. In this video, I also point out to you something very important when it comes to blacksmithing. A technique that all blacksmiths use, but don't really talk about that much. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and trebuchets, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, rattle rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is that blacksmithing tip and technique that blacksmiths use. And let's take a look at the forged axe, hatchet, right here. See that rectangular slot? Now how do we make that slot? And this is the trick. You make yourself a tool. I used another railroad spike to make a tool about the same size as the hammer handle. See, and then I can use that to pierce the rectangular hole in the hatchet. So make yourself the tools you need in order to make the part you need. See how that is? It fits in like that. So we can heat up that hatchet and then drive the tool through it. So you forge it up. So let's get the forge started. Nice little technique. Always can make yourself a pair of tongs or a tool or something like that that you need in order to do the thing you want to make. And we're going to make that tool first. And it's pretty simple. I just heat up a railroad spike, and then shaped it approximately to a little bit smaller than the hammer handle. Simple as that. And then I can put that aside and use it a little bit later. See, it's starting to take shape here. I kept comparing it to the hammer, checking it with the width and the thickness of it. And that's that. So let's start working on the hatchet. The first thing I did was rounded out the cutting edge of it like this and flattened it out. And the important thing here is when oftentimes when you're blacksmithing, is you flip that piece over and hammer the other side too. And I get this to a bevel, so it's thicker at the stem, and it comes down to a sharp edge, or close to sharp edge, on the cutting part of it, like that. So you flip it over to keep it even. You keep flipping it and hammering it and getting it to shape. And I just, just a small little hatchet head. Not a big deal. I didn't want to thin out the metal too much. I wanted it to be strong. That's it. Then, now let's pierce that hole where the hammer handle is going to go. And I started out with just a plain old punch just to get the hole started. And the important thing here is that you flip it over and you do the hole from both sides. You don't try to go all the way through something thick like this. You go halfway on one side and then halfway on the other side. And see how we're right over the pritchel hole in the anvil? That's what that circular hole is for piercing holes. Then once I got it opened up pretty nicely, then I used the tool we made to cut out that oblong slot, I guess you could call it. Hammer handle shaped slot. And it took a couple of heatings. So I would compare it, see how it looked compared to the hammer handle, cut it a little more, open it up a little more. A fun process. So, give that some thought. And here we go. I'm just about finishing it up here. Look how bright that is. Nice. Just about done with it. I've pierced that quite a bit of the way through. So it's just about the right size now. So a little bit of cleanup work. Check it. See, it's just about right. I'm going to go with that. We can shave the hammer handle down a little bit. So there, a little bit of cleanup work there, and we're good to go. It's done. So that slot is done. Let's take a closer look at it. Right like this. See, it looks good. That's that. So now let's finish off the tomahawk by doing the spiked point on the other end. And I use a couple of different techniques for this. And I do have a video on this on how to forge a medieval rondelle. Well, one of the techniques is first you knock off the square edges of it with a heavy hammer. And I've just worked down in terms of hammer weights. Then I move to a lighter hammer to do a little bit more detail work. And then finally I move to a smaller hammer to finish off the point and get the shape just the way I want it. See? Simple as that. Very nice. This thing is forged up. So that's a lot of fun. I know you love the forging part of this. Look how bright that is. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. So now we take it into the shop and we're going to clean it all up and put it together and finish it. Looks good. It's very rustic, like wrought iron. So any kind of tools you got, you can use a 6-inch belt sander like this. I also have a 1-inch belt sander that I used to clean it up, and clean up as much as you don't want. I just did the ends, the point and the blade, but you could have cleaned up all of it. And then move on to files. And then I moved on to emery paper of different grits, 200, 400, 600, to get it looking nicer and shiny. And then I put a bevel on it, and I get this actually pretty sharp just with files. It actually cuts. So I put a bevel on both sides, this side and the other side. And when you're doing this, you're thankful that you hammered it at the forge evenly on both sides. You flipped over and hammered it some more, so everything stayed on a center line. So you get a nice bevel and a nice edge on this thing. So trim the handle a little bit, and you can actually buy hammer kits. It's like a handle and the wedge to go in there. And then I hammered it in to get it nice and tight. You want this nice and tight. We do not want this flying off. See, and the final thing, I got to hammer that some more. Get it tight and straight. The final thing is to put some kind of a wedge in there. They make wooden wedges. They make metal wedges. You can put a screw in it. So I put a screw in it, and that tightens it right up and holds it tight inside the hatchet. And that's it. Looking pretty good. You have made a railroad spike hatchet axe, mini hatchet axe. Good beginner's project. Oops, sorry about that, El Guapo. Let's take another look. There you go. It's got a nice feel to it. One remaining thing that I did do here, well, let's take a look here. I just wanted to show you that it does sharpen. You can sharpen this. See, it cuts. And one final thing that I did do was, and I'll show you that right here, is I actually wrapped twine around it to make it, to give it a bit of a grip. And then I put some electrical tape on it too. So it makes it a little bit more comfortable to grip and more of a steady grip. Thank you. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.